What's up everybody, welcome back to another video on the Texas Rangers report. And in this video we are going to be going over Marcus Semien's career day as a Texas Ranger. But if this is your first time watching the channel, make sure to subscribe right now because I'm your #1 source for all things Texas Rangers related on YouTube. But also if you're a Texas Rangers fan, make sure to give this video a like. I would greatly appreciate that, and that really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. But also one last thing, make sure to check out the Discord. That link will be in the description down below in case you don't know what a Discord is. It's basically a big group chat and we talk about Rangers live game chats, news, rumors, MLB draft, etc. So getting on with it, Marcus Semien, he's been having a good June to say the least. Obviously, he signed the 7-year, $175 million contract. And if you remember, whenever Sin Chu signed his contract with the Texas Rangers, there was a lot of pressure on him to live up to the deal and just be the player he was with his former team. And I do think Marcus Semien has felt that pressure, even though he's been an MVP candidate for 2 seasons. He finished top 3. I do think there was that pressure to be one of the guys in Texas, because was Corey Seager getting the 10-year, $325 million contract, and then Semien not as much, but still getting 7 years, $175 million. I think Seager hasn't really felt the pressure. He started off fast and he's kind of been on a slump. I do think he isn't getting as good of at bats in, but also I do think he's getting hurt by the shift. But I do think that whenever Marcus Semien gets going, I think this whole ball club gets going. So we all know that Marcus Semien was struggling very bad the first 2 months of the season, but let's just break down his June stats right now. In June, Marcus Semien has 5 home runs, a average of .355, a WRC plus of 200, and a WOBA of 500. Those are all insane numbers. Obviously, we're only like 7 or 8 days into June. Since it's summer now, it's so hard for me to keep track. But early results, Marcus Semien has been doing great in June, and that doubleheader yesterday is proven that he's doing really well, because he picked up 3 home runs in one day. Yes, it was a doubleheader. He had 3 home runs, 7 hits, and he didn't strike out at all, and that hasn't been done since 1973. And for most of the season, Marcus Semien has been in the negatives for the WAR category. That's wins above replacements. The highest on the team is Martin Perez with a 2 WAR, Corey Seager with 1.4, and Jonah Heim also has 1.4. Marcus Semien has been in the negatives for most of the season, but after that one game, obviously he's been getting better and better as the season has been going on, but that one game has already put him 3rd on the team in WAR with a .9 WAR. And if you guys don't know, his MVP caliber seasons, last year he had like a 6.5, and then his season with the Athletics, when he was an MVP caliber player, he had about a 7. So just for you to put it into perspective. But I'm not surprised that Marcus Semien is doing this, because he had an OPS about 500 for the entire season. Now it's around 610, 620, 630. I do expect it to go up because he's been a career 770 OPS hitter his entire career. And for a guy that is in his prime, there's no way that he would have been hitting like this for the entirety of the season. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a down year for him, maybe hitting like 740 OPS, but still he has to have come up from that 550 OPS. So I'm not surprised. I still expect him to play better, and I do expect this lineup to play better. Yes, offense has been down throughout the league, but still there's a lot of people that are underperforming in the lineup. Mitch Garver's been underperforming in my opinion, so has Corey Seager. You guys may be saying Adolis Garcia is underperforming, but honestly, I feel like that's just who Adolis is. He's really flashy, has a lot of pop, he's clutch, but I don't think he's a good hitter. I think he could be a decent player for some teams, but I don't know if he's a player that we need going into the future. I honestly may look to trade him because we have a bunch of prospects. You could even use Josh Smith as a center fielder, and that could move open maybe a left field spot for another prospect or an infield spot. I do believe those prospects may have a better future outlook than Adolis. And remember, Adolis is already 29, so he's probably moving out of his prime then into it. And for a guy that gets a lot of his use from his defense and athleticism, that's a little concerning for me. But I do think he's a guy that could have a lot of trade value once the season comes to an end. But don't trade him in season for sure. But going back to Marcus Semien, I noticed that during our last road trip, he wasn't actually getting like home runs or like getting doubles. He was just getting some singles, but it wasn't like those ground ball weak singles anymore that made me like, oh my gosh, is it just like lucky that he's getting on base? They were actually, he was barreling the ball, and I'm like, okay, this is a sign of things to come. And then he hit his first home run in Oakland. That was a sign for me. It was a grand slam. And then he comes back to Texas, hits his first home run as a Ranger. I think that helps relieve some stress because you hit your first home run in your own ballpark. And then he does it again, I believe, against Seattle. And then that's already his 3 home runs. And now he is like 5th on the team in home runs because he hit 3 in one day. Do I think he'll come anywhere close to 3 home runs again? No, I could definitely see 2 home runs because a lot of people do that. This is a game that's special. It'll go in the record books. May never happen again because obviously it was a double header. This is the games we need to get the Rangers turned around because we had a couple of tough losses down in Seattle. We should have swept the Mariners. We should have won the series versus Tampa Bay. But in order to become a good team, those are the games we have to win. I remember at Tampa Bay, John Gray pitched to Jim, 12 strikeouts. We let that game slip away. We should have won that series 3-4. And then I don't know what you guys think about Chris Woodward. I'm not the biggest fan personally, but I would have let Joe Barlow pitch, of course. Every closer's gonna let one slip away. Joe Barlow did, but he was able to come back the next game, get that game shut out. But then Matt Bush, what are we doing? I would have just gone back to Joe Barlow. I know Joe Barlow pitched 2 days in a row, but like, why not pitch him one more day? I know you don't want him to get hurt, but we should have swept that series, or at least very minimum won that series. Now we're gonna have to go in today, try to win this last game to beat Cleveland, get 2 games back beneath 500. I just get the feeling that that's something we're going to be chasing all year. I really hope that's not the case. Hopefully we can win a few games and then we could be chasing for higher things like above 500, then go to 10 games above 500. But we will see a bunch of things that could be happening. But if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up down below. If this is your first time, we talk about news, rumors, MLB draft, and whenever there's a big night like this, like Marcus Semien, we cover it, or whenever there's a DFA like Willie Calhoun, we will cover it. So make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.